Hello and welcome to UIT 0, episode 3. And we have with us for a change, Cris Finniss. How you doing, Cris?
Well, all good. Thank you very much for having me again.
And a very special guest, Sabrina Bruce. Hello there. Or is it CE?
Hello.
Are you
No.
CE?
CE Bruce is for business. Sabrina Bruce is personal. This is a
Okay, well, this is all very
one.
personal, so that's good. Before we get into it, though, I do wish to state a disclaimer. What you're going to hear tonight is about good and bad experiences of alcohol. Now, first and foremost, everyone here is a professional. Do not try this if you're an amateur. The experiences were gained over a lifetime where there were not handheld cameras everywhere and half-hour specials on TV of people falling over and doing silly things. So
that's a very good point, actually.
Please be safe out there. And if any of this comes back to haunt us, we'll have you on the show. Thank you very much.
Class this as a out of hours show or out of hours session. This is out of hours. We're chilling. We're in our home life. We are.
We are. This is all just chill. We're all just having a drink, having a chat, reminiscing, telling stories. That's the way forward.
Yeah, it's good and bad experiences. Just today's subject is alcohol, and let's try and avoid any advertising. Okay.
Ching ching.
Yeah, cover the can. Cover that can, Karl. So, Karl, I know for a fact that because I've drunk many a drink with you over the years, that you will have a few stories. And I thought maybe you should kick us off with maybe, what did you want first? Did you want the positive, to give us a positive experience, and then have a negative one? We can have that for dessert, or
let's just see what happens. And I'm impressed you're taking control this week on the basis of me dropping you in the poo last time. I thought
I'd just straight away spin it around on you this time. But so get in there first,
So alcohol and Karl, it's an interesting journey, I have to admit, because most people don't realise this, but I stopped drinking for about 8 or 9 years. I gave it up completely. Because I wanted, at one point I was really concerned that it was drinking me instead of me drinking it. And I stopped completely. And the more people tried to sort of push me, this is like during the 90s mainly, the more people tried to push me into like, go on, have a drink, we're all having a drink, have a drink. How can you come to a wedding, not have a drink? What's wrong with you?
Pressure.
Yeah, and the more people pushed me, the more obstinate I became. And I'm like, going, no thanks, I've got some lemonade. And it just, I think after a while, I used to really enjoy irritating them. It shows you the kind of mind I've got.
Yeah,
that doesn't sound like you at all.
I was younger. It takes a while to get this level of maturity and sensibilities, and never having been caught is also good. So yeah. I think when I came back to alcohol in a period that I met Cris Finniss, I was actually quite.
It's dreadful.
I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that you were in that time when I first started drinking again. I met Cris and then I started drinking. Yeah, that's a natural progression for everyone.
Correlation there.
I think it was also when I started to work away from home more. And I had all this time that would have been wrapped up in spending with my wife or doing things around the house. So I looked for ways to get benefit from being away from home, and one of them was to hang out in pubs. And I like pubs. I think they're a fabulous experience for the most part. They you get to meet complete randos, and depending upon the level of consumption, you can talk to them. And if it's too high a level, the normal response is, "Are you looking at me funny?" Or if it's not too much, it's usually like, "Hey, come and join us. We're having," and you're involved in the chat. And I think that's kind of my main
that's the
story.
Nice vibe of the pub, yeah.
It's a nice vibe. I think is that if you're there, you're welcome, unless you behave badly. So I think most of my stories are about the people I've met in the last sort of 15, 16 years since I started drinking again. And I suppose the easiest one to tell is how I met Cris Finniss. I don't know, do you want that one?
Yeah, go on. Tonight
Oh, yeah.
we're reminiscing here.
Yeah, so I'd heard about so the Swan and Mitre in Bromley was nearest to where I was staying, but I'd heard about the Railway Tavern, which was up near Bromley North, is up near Bromley North. And I went to pubs to get to meet people, and I would play pool with them because that's basically what, you know, I wasn't really a heavy drinker. So,
It's so funny hearing you say that.
I know. It's weird. It's just that everyone else is such a lightweight in comparison. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's must be what it is.
So I went to Bromley North, and I think I was there like early afternoon for some reason. I think I think I'd probably had enough for the day of where I was working, or I finished early or something, or I was really shattered. And one of the joys of being self-employed is you can do that. As long as you still deliver, the client doesn't care. So I went to the pub, and I think it was after lunch. It was like 2 PM on a Friday or something. And there was a barman, and then there was at least 2 people playing pool, Becky and Chris. And I hung around, made myself look pretty creepy for a while, and I thought I was quite good at that. I was just watching them playing pool, and then they finished and they moved away. I said, "Well, does someone want?"
It wasn't. We didn't have a problem with you watching. It was through binoculars that made it creepy. That was the thing.
Yeah, sorry, when I put down the flypaper so you couldn't move, that was a bit of a concern. But yeah, so they kind of moved away, and I said, "Well, do either of you want to play?" And sort of Becky's response was, "I can't play pool." And I'm going, "Okay." I wish Chris had said that as well, because it would have been a lot easier. But yeah, so we started just playing pool, and I was drinking this at the time, because that was the main drink in most of the pubs in Bromley. It's a session beer that allows you to drink quite a lot, because it's kind of like lemonade without falling over. And we played pool and sort of chatted, and it was just fun. I mean, that's it. I think I didn't know anything at all about you or Becky at the time. So
well, no, that's the thing, and like you said about like pubs in general, like I think the thing that obviously you have to be in the mood for the pub. Do you know what I mean? Because it's generally you're going to be socializing, but it's like the amount of people I've met just from being in the pub and having just those random conversations. That's why we go to the pub, you know, it's to have fun, meet new people. And yeah, some of those people like Karl just never leave once you've met them. It's just they just stick around.
Yeah, you make me sound horrible. Sorry,
it's definitely a male thing, because you won't get women. And I'll say, because I'm the same as Karl, when I go out consulting, I'm away a lot. And the one thing I can't do is actually just go to a pub on my own. And it isn't it's very rare you will get a female that will go. I normally sit in the hotel bar. I'll sit there with my laptop and I'm there because I'm working. I just don't want to sit in my room. But you won't get a female that kind of goes into a bar on our own, or go into a pub on our own and sit there, unless we're going to eat. And 9 times out of 10, we go to a restaurant. It's a very male thing that's quite confident.
It's not totally.
Well, I think
sorry, Chris.
Go on, Karl.
I was just
going to say a lot of it, I think, revolves around the pool table.
Yeah,
that's because you end up getting like, you know what you just said, when we were playing pool, and then you say to the next person, when 2 people finish, "Oh, are you playing?" And they go, well, when it stays on, you just end up talking to that person, and then they'll be with like 3 mates, you know, and it just spreads, and then you end up like, "Oh, I've just spent 3 hours with like 5 complete strangers," you know. So yeah,
I think I probably know about 300 people in Bromley because of a pool table.
Yeah, there you go. It is a social thing, really, isn't it?
And they're all different ages as well. So carry on.
Well, yeah, like, because I've been in there before. Like, maybe I've gone in there with a couple of friends like years ago or something, and there'll be one guy that's kind of playing pool on his own, like waiting for someone to come over and be like, "Oh, can I have a game with my mate?" And he's like, "Well, it's winner stays on," and he's like, you know, and they're like standing there chalking the queue. And like they have some ownership over it, and then you have to try and beat the guy off the table so you can play with your friends. That's awkward. I don't like that. I just want to be like, I don't want to play with some stranger. Like, I want to play with my friend. Maybe later after a few beers, I might get to know you. But yeah, that can be awkward, I find.
Yeah. I had one of those in central London, actually. I'd just beaten someone, and then 8 guys came in and basically said, clear the room, we're going to play. And I said, I've just won the table, so, you know, you got to play me to take the table. So the first guys are all cocky, like I was probably in my 30s and they're in their 20s, and they were just and I at this point I was about 3 pints in. You know, when you're like, I've spent a bit of money to get on, I kind of want a bit back for it. And so I played this guy, and I think it was probably the best pool game I've ever played in my life, because he snookered me, and I jumped the white ball over the black ball and potted a ball in the corner, which is more or less an impossible shot, but I still managed to do it. I was really thankful for the beer that day. Well, it was one of those things, you know, you see it on TV. And then the next guy, and they're like, each guy's coming up and they're all like fronting it, and I'm like going, okay, well, whatever. And then one guy was particularly rude and nasty about it, and while he wasn't watching the table, I took a shot with white ball with the top on it, so that the ball shot off the table and took his glass out of his hand. I was very good at pool. I used to play snooker, so I was very good at pool. I'm not anymore. But then I got to guy number 8, and everyone's like, you know, really disgruntled by this point. Apparently, he was the worst guy that played, and he beat me, and he beat me fair and square.
Didn't he? Yeah.
No, but he beat me fair and square. The point was, I didn't lose to him; he beat me, and that's the thing. Is about maturity. You know, it's if someone's better than you, they're better than you on that game. And it was fun. I mean, it was fun because I dislike bullies. I have a major dislike for them. So sorry. So there wasn't much alcohol involved in that, although I did hold on to my pint for quite a lot.
Bullies out there.
Sorry. How am I apologizing?
You just apologize to all the bullies out there.
No, I'm saying sorry to you. I'm not apologizing to bullies. I don't like bullies. They're evil bastards. No. So that's definitely an 18 rating.
I do miss those days, though, and I don't know. Can I say the company that we all probably know that we've all been to? A particular place that was dedicated to pool and snooker. We'd all used to go and have a drink. Riley's. I'm going to say it was Riley's back in my day. And
I thought you were going to say Peter Stringfellows.
No, it was when I was back in Bristol in a very small town, which I won't say. But I used to love going. I had a lot of male friends. I never got on with women. They just never seemed to take to me for some reason. But I got on a lot with men. And we always used to go to Riley's together, and it would be like for a whole Saturday afternoon, we'd be there drinking, playing snooker. And do you know what? It was such a relaxed, nice environment. And then we would go to the pub afterwards, and the pub was always at walking distance. And I just miss that. I mean, I don't seem to have that type of, they don't seem to have anything like that where I live. I live in the northeast now of England, and it doesn't, I don't know whether it's just not fashionable anymore. I know we're stuck in a lockdown at the moment, but even then, before then, when I moved up here, which was about 9 years ago, there isn't really an area where you can go and do that unless it's bowling or something like that. And I miss it because it is a very nice, relaxed environment. Have a few drinks, have a laugh, play some games. Yeah. Quite happy to wait. I miss it. I wasn't too bad at it. My grandfather was a famous-ish snooker player, so I've got his cue.
Oh, wow.
And I used to love taking that with me and use it, even though it's far too big for me. But
oh, that's cool. But yeah, I think when we're talking about alcohol, like as this podcast is about, what would you say your first drink or experience of alcohol was? Like, how young are we talking, and what was the drink? You know, what was the context?
Do you know what? For me, I've been quite lucky. My family, so my father owned building companies and taxi companies, And my parents never ever said don't drink, which kind of had the opposite effect on me, because I was never really interested in alcohol, because my dad used to collect alcohol bottles, particular special bottles, and it never really made me want to drink. It was only the social side, when I started hanging out with people and we were going to pubs, that would make me want to have a little bit of a drink. But I'll tell you a funny thing that I actually did to my dad, and this is me and my brother both did, but never told each other. And we only actually admitted it to my father a few years ago. And all these special bottles he had, we would have, so my family, I'm Sicilian, so my family would go back to Sicily and leave me and my brother home at legal age, can I confirm? And we would have little house parties, only a group of us. And we would take my dad's alcohol and use it and then fill it up with water, or use felt tip pen to make the colour and replace it all with water. And then when we were older and my dad would offer us a drink at Christmas, both me and my brother would be like, oh no, we're fine, we don't have a drink. Because in my head, I'm thinking, well, that's just water. In his head, he's doing exactly the same. My brother's older than me. And it wasn't till like a few years ago, we finally admitted to my dad, when he offered it to a friend, it's like, no, Dad, that's not gin, that's water. No, that's not vodka, that's water. No, that's not whiskey, that's felt tip pen with a little bit of Coca-Cola in it and water.
And his friend's drinking it too polite to say, oh, it's delicious, yeah,
that's not Jack Daniels, that is felt tip pen with a bit of coloured Pepsi and anything like. It was like a mixture of that. And then what made it even funnier was me and my brother were talking about it on the phone, and he had me on speakerphone, and my nephew was behind him. And he was at the age of 15, 16. So he was actually experimenting in alcohol. And he heard what me and my brother did to my dad, his grandfather. And he did it to my brother. He went, my brother, again, followed the family routine of collecting these specialized alcohol bottles. And he did it to my brother, and he cleared it all out and filled it with water. And then when my brother found out, he laughed and he said, well, that's what you and my auntie Sabrina used to do. So I did it back to you.
It's come full circle.
That's one
Seems
funny
reasonable.
thing I had. I was told not to drink. I just kind of never really had the need to at a young age. So I was a late bloomer. It wasn't till I was 18 that I actually started drinking. I was never one down the park and had a drink. I started drinking in a pub when I was at legal age.
I started drinking at 11, but it was at the dinner table with my parents, with half water and half wine, because that's how we were brought up. I mean, funnily enough, we used to go to an Italian restaurant in Lewisham, which were like all stucco walls and everything, and they would come along with the red wine, and we'd have half water, half wine, because it was normal. It was very European upbringing. Thankfully, it was later before my mother discovered salads, but up until that point, we were having true Irish fare, which was mainly meat with some green stuff somewhere. But in terms of drinking, red wine was a thing that I first experienced when I was 11, and I didn't particularly like it. I like it a lot now, but I didn't then.
Well, I think this a lot of these things are an acquired taste, particularly wine, because like when I was younger, obviously you'd be at Christmas and like my mum would say like, oh, you can have like this is when I was really young, like 10 or 11, she'd give us, like, me and my brother, like, I don't know, what's it called, like baby sham, whatever that stuff was. You drink that.
Was horrible.
It was, terrible. It was just like kids' alcohol for Christmas. So I just remember drinking those. But to me, when I was younger, it was never necessarily the fact that someone was drinking that I wanted to do it. It was the fact that when I'd see like my mum and her friends and my dad and that just getting drunk, they seemed to be having a good time, and it looked like a more adult thing to do. Do you know what I mean? So it was more like I'd remember having like a baby sham, and then being young, I'd be pretending to be drunk. Like I wasn't drunk, obviously, but I remember my aunt being like, he's just showing off. He's not drunk, while she's absolutely smashed. But my granddad used to make wine as well. My granddad used to make pear wine. That was quite interesting. I always remember he used to have like a cupboard, and you just open it and there'd just be this amazing like smell, just all these different fruits. But I think mainly pear wine. Maybe he did some other kind of stuff. But That was interesting.
I used to brew beer and make wine as well, because there was a whole fad for it back in the 70s.
Actually, while we're here, and you just said that, I'm going to plug my friend's beer.
All right.
My friend Mark has just got a brewery, and he sent me some new beers. There's another. This can's actually got a different design on it. It's quite cool. But it's called Mammoth.
All right.
Mammoth Brewery. You can't really see because my thing's disappearing. But yeah, pale ale, a couple of different ones, and I literally had them the other day and was absolutely smashed. It was great.
So it's very high specific gravity then.
Yeah,
one thing I've never gotten into, and I had when I was a lot younger, I had a boyfriend that wanted to get me into beer because he said it was a lot cheaper. He said that when he had to take me out for a drink, he said it was far too expensive, and he wanted to get me in beer. And I've never ever liked the taste of it, and I'm a celiac. I found out I was a celiac later on in life, so I can't really have beer. I know there's gluten-free beer out there, but the taste, I don't understand. I've never got it, why everyone seems to like drinking beer. It's rancid. I'm sorry to say, it's rancid.
The thing is, I do kind of understand this because
cheese is rancid and people eat that.
Well, this is the thing though. Like, if I was to, like, you know, when you say you're sitting there drinking you're not drinking a Foster's because we can't advertise. You're drinking a blue can of some kind of, mysterious liquid. When you drink those, when you drink
Bolton.
It's like the thing is, I think a lot of this comes down to like you start drinking something for a reason. So your experience when we talk about good and bad experiences with alcohol. That largely depends on why you started drinking that night or that day, depending. And I think if you're drinking, because I always found if I was out at the pub with my friends and I was drinking and I was in a good mood and I was just having fun, I wouldn't really question what I was drinking too much. I would just be drinking and enjoying the time. But if I was going to drink a drink for the flavor and the taste, and the enjoyment of the drink itself rather than what the alcohol elicits, I'd drink red wine. I wouldn't drink beer.
So I only found that out about you recently, because I for a long time I thought, well, he's a JD man. For a long time,
like that, But my favourite drink, like in terms of alcoholic drink for flavour, is red wine because it's so complex. That's just enjoyable, isn't it? If you can drink, I'm not saying that other alcohols aren't complex either, but I think just in terms of wine in general, like grapes, there's so much. Did
you taste the summer notes and the depth of the sunlight on the river?
Fusion. That's one drink that I wish I could drink was red wine. And I can't. There's something in red wine, I don't know what it is, that I could have half a glass and it's like I've had a bottle. It really makes
honestly,
me
Chris,
drunk.
we have both missed out on meeting Sabrina before she got married. What a cheap date she would have been.
I would have been so cheap. No, I wouldn't have. That's what my boyfriend, and do you know what, actually, I'll say his name because he may listen to this, and I purposely actually wanted to listen to this. Matt, I am sorry that I cost you a fortune in alcohol. But I was working as well. But no, I wanted Prosecco. Like, it's all about the taste for me. I can't drink something that tastes rancid. I don't care what effects. If you gave a drink and it said you would get $1 million, actually, no, I probably would down it. But, it's all about the taste for me. That taste is the enjoyment for me.
This is the thing. This is the thing. If you're drinking... Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I don't even like the drunken feeling. I've never, I think there's only once or twice, and I can tell you a couple of stories where I've actually gone over that drunk stage. When there's 3 stages of alcohol. There's the starting drinking and you get giddy, and then you've got the tipsy stage, and then you've got the going to the drunk stage, and then you've got to pass over that barrier and you're drunk. And I've probably actually only hit that 3 times in my lifetime. And I very rarely go over to that stage. So I have to enjoy the taste to be able to get even to that tipsy stage. But I probably, because of the silly things that I've done when I've got to that drunk stage, and I still remember it, and I will tell you the story at some point, there's probably a reason why I don't get to that drunk stage.
Yeah, well, we learn from it. We learn from it, don't we? Like where our limits are.
Oh,
So it's really
there's-
interesting that you drink prosecco, because I was standing at a bar in Glasgow drinking champagne, and this big guy, came up to me and muscled me out of the way and basically said, "Oh, you puff, get out of my way! You're drinking fizzy wine or you're drinking champagne." I said, "Do you want to try it?" And he said, "What, you trying to buy me a drink?" And I said, "No. I'll get you a pint." He said, "What?" I said, "Well, you said it's a puff drink. We'll have a pint each. We can take turns, and whoever can neck it and still be standing wins." And he took me up on it. So I got two bottles of champagne into pint glasses, and he went first. He drank about half of it and collapsed on the floor. Because the problem with champagne is it's so fizzy.
So fizzy, yeah.
You can't drink that much without getting rid of the gas. And he's literally he partially asphyxiated himself. It's my own. I shouldn't have done it to him, but he was being a dick.
Well, yeah.
it does go to your head though. I warned you earlier. I said to you, after having around about two, I've got a nickname from my husband, my very own husband, called 2G, and it's because I do like the fizzy stuff. I do like the champagnes.
Yeah.
I do like the Prosecco's, and it's because it goes to your head so quickly, especially if you're all day drinking. I'm amazing at all day drinking, but short burst drinking, you know, when you're just like, oh, it's Friday night, I'm going to go out, have a few drinks, but I've still got stuff to do in the morning. I'm wasted. I'm terrible for it, because I'm almost trying to fit in a full day drinking session where I'm easing it into a very short space of time. And that's when the hangover kicks in and I feel absolutely rotten. And I'm officially getting old because I'm complaining about hangovers, I think.
Wow.
Well, I know my worst ever hangovers have been on champagne, actually. Like, I've never had a hangover as bad as Carl's laughing because he knows. We went to Cornwall and we bought loads of different types of alcohol, obviously, like a few of us in this house. And I did drink, I don't know how many bottles or how many I had, but it was basically champagne or something I was drinking all night.
And Prosecco, we had 30 bottles of Prosecco between 8 of us.
Whoa.
On the first night.
Not everyone was drinking it either.
Wasn't it?
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the thing. There was a lot. And the night before, when we had arrived, I had all my like pills, like because I suffer with back pain and things like that, and I had like cocodamol on me, and I'd accidentally put them in a carrier bag that I put some rubbish in the car in the bin. So all my pills are in the bin. So in the morning, I woke up with I've never experienced a headache like that in my life, like panicking looking for my pills, and in the end, I got my friend Elliot, who was there, to rifle through the bin and find my pills.
My brother gave me the best trick ever to get rid of hangovers, and it was 2 things. He says, 1, squeeze a whole lime into a pint of water, put it next to your bed. Before you go to sleep, down it. He also recommended, and it works. It does work, a whole lime. You're basically getting all that acid and everything that you're losing. Dialorite is your best friend. By adding dialorite to water, it then gets all that, because obviously alcohol dehydrates you, so it gets all those salts and everything, and you wake up in the morning like you've not had a heavy night, and it's like the best trick my brother ever told me. So literally,
I should be taking notes, really.
Yeah, half a lime or whole lime in water, and I love lime, so I can drink it. I can eat lime. I love it that much. But yeah, it's just that dehydration that makes you feel so rotten the next day. And I'm very much a person that I don't stop. I just don't stop because my weekends, because I'm so busy in the week with work and Carl, because Carl keeps me pretty busy. My weekends are my time to do as much as possible for myself and for my husband and my 2 pups. So I can't afford to be in bed all morning. I don't even know what a lion is.
There's no time for a hangover. Not these days. Definitely not.
Well, there is, but it's between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, Karen.
I was going to ask you guys if there is any alcohol that you will never drink again.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God, yes.
Go on, then. Let's hear them.
Who's first?
Go on, Sabrina.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so the alcohol I won't drink again is, believe it or not, Baileys. Now, occasionally at Christmas, I will have a little bit in coffee, but I had a really bad experience with Baileys. And it was when I was younger, and I first found Baileys around Christmas time. And I was drinking it straight, as you would drink it anyway, on the rocks with ice. I felt really adult, really cool. Yeah, here's my Bailey. And my boyfriend at the time, Matt, if you're listening, decided, I'll just get you there was a deal on. So he said, I'll just get you a pint glass and a half worth of Baileys.
Oh, what?
So I'd already had I already had a couple of Baileys, and where I lived, he would always walk me home. And where I lived, you had to go down this big hill. This pub it's called the Turn Pub in Chippensodbury. And all I remember is drinking this Baileys, then all of a sudden deciding that this mound that I thought was just grass would be a good idea to why walk it? Let's just roll down it and skid down it. And skid across the concrete, and next minute I just, obviously what happens, it's cream at the end of the day. When you're rolling and you're doing stupid stuff, it's not going to stay in the place that you originally put it in, is it?
No.
And it went all over me, and I had to go home with grass stains, mud stains, skin had come off of my legs where I just decided to scoop across concrete for some reason. And then I had regurgitated Baileys all over me. And still to this day, I can have it in a coffee, but if I had it straight, it just brings back those memories of what did you think?
Oh, well, that's it. It only takes,
I know what to get you for Christmas.
It only takes that one time. Do you know what I mean? Because I had it. Mine is tequila. Like I can this is I did the usual thing with tequila, which was first time I had it, someone makes you do it with the salt and the lemon or whatever it is, the lime stuff, doing all that. And I did it, and I don't know how old I was, maybe 22 the first time I tried tequila, and I was sick instantly. Like I was just like, it went in and I was like, no, this is coming straight back out. So I threw up straight away, and I said to myself, I'm not going to drink tequila ever again after that. That's it. And then fast forward maybe, I don't know, 7 years, I'm doing a gig with the band in Ibiza, and we turned up on a Wednesday at about 2 a.m. in this little village just outside like the main bit of Ibiza. And when we got there, we were all going there. So it's as you can imagine, there's just British people everywhere, absolutely rugged off their faces, rolling around on the pavement and like bouncing off people's cars. And we turned up like obviously quite tired, but also excited that we were there. So we were like, oh, this is what happens with how people see the Brits when they come over and holiday. They're just like, they make a mess of everything. It's disgraceful. So then we all went off to the strip, found all these bars and stuff. Jason, the singer, got incredibly excited, and without consulting any of us, bought a massive tray of tequilas. So yeah, obviously I broke my vow and decided, oh yeah, we're on Ibiza, Jason's excited, I'm not gonna be the party pooper and not do the tequila. And fast forward another 4 hours till like 5 a.m, wherever it is now. Me and Jason are like literally on the floor by someone's car, and he's got like his pants over his shoulder where I've like given him a wedgie and like ripped his pants. And it's like, when you wake up in the morning, you think, I turned into the people I was like slagging off when I turned up. I was like, they're a disgrace. And then 4 hours later, because of tequila again, I'm there in the gutter, literally.
Doesn't make you anything you aren't, Chris.
There is good tequila out there, though. I know that feeling. I love tequila, but I didn't realize how much I love tequila until I went to Mexico, Cancun. Me and my husband, by far, we've traveled all over the world. And by far, Mexico, Cancun is still our place to go and let our hair down, forget about the businesses, and just go and have a good time.
Yeah, it must be some good tequila.
Tequila out there. Oh, it's some good tequila, but it's proper tequila. And I think
is it mezcal or is it tequila?
No, it's proper from tequila. I've got the bottle downstairs, but obviously I can't show it here. But when you've had decent tequila, when you can actually drink it straight with no lemon, no salt, and it's smooth. It doesn't
Oh yeah,
burn when it
I've
goes
done
down.
that, but I
See,
mean,
I've never had that experience with tequila.
Oh no, it's gorgeous.
so tequila is also my nemesis, and I can't drink it now without bringing it up automatically. It literally,
Oh,
it's an
It's like
automatic
an
reaction. I
impulse.
bring it up, and the reason
I've
Is
sort
is
of got
called
that with
burping?
sambuca as well.
Is it
Sambuca's
Oh, I'm
another
good
one.
with black sambuca.
I
Amazing.
like
Isn't that
sambuca.
called burping though?
Oh.
When you burp and vomit, burping. Is that how
I've
it's
no
done?
I've no idea. Are we creating a new trend?
There we go.
I was
I'm using that.
I'm not sure when it was, because obviously when I was 18 is back in the mists of time. But when I was 18, I was in Covent Garden and I was in a Mexican cantina, which was where the Apple Store currently is. So the market was derelict at that time. It hadn't been converted into what it is now. It was there were builders were trying to knock it down and build high-rise buildings there. So I was there, and I went in, and I was in my grey military coats, my pegs, and my I was sharp looking as a kid because I was into fashion and I bought fashionable stuff. Anyway,
New romantic.
I was a new romantic. Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, but I went to the bar and I sat at the bar and I said, "What's a good drink?" And the guy said, "Tequila." I said, "Okay." And so he brought out this bottle of tequila and I drank the whole bottle. And I ate the worm, and it tasted great.
That's another level. That's where you went wrong. Whoa.
I was not sick, but the headache lasted 3 days.
Oh, right, that's why. Because you weren't sick. Probably needed to be.
I need to get out my worst experience of alcohol, because this is absolutely hilarious, and I'm quite happy to openly say about it. It's probably my by far worst. It's my worst, my most embarrassing, and what was I thinking moment. And I remember it was my brother's.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
No, it was my brother's birthday. It was a really surreal experience. It was my brother's birthday, and I was round his girlfriend's house getting ready for his big birthday bash that was going to be in the centre. Oh, you're on the Malibu now. Oh, I'm not allowed to say that, am I? And so me and his girlfriend. Me and the girlfriend at the time were getting ready. My brother was down the pub just around the corner with his mates drinking. And it was back in the time where limos were cool, not chavvy. So a limo came over, picked me and the girlfriend up. Oh, not saying that. Oh, no, I shouldn't have said that. They're not all chavvy. There's just a couple of them. And so the
just the ones with fluffy
up.
dice in the windows.
Yeah. It picks us up, drives us to the pub, picks my brother up and his mates. And then all of a sudden there was these girls that appeared with these guys and my brother. So they all decided to join the bandwagon and got into the limo as well. And the limo provided 2 magnum bottles of what they called champagne. It wasn't, it was fizzy wine, but they called it champagne for the limo drive. And I remember they all got into the limo and we got onto the M32 on our way to Bristol city centre. And the guys asked to stop to go to the bathroom. And these girls went out and went to the bathroom. And I said to his girlfriend, I went, "Oh, that's vile. I don't want those girls to touch this bottle I said, that's vile. They shouldn't even be here." I just had something against them for some reason. So I decided to take it upon myself to drink this whole bottle of this magnum bottle of what they called champagne on my own, to spite them, because I didn't feel that they deserved it. Now, my boyfriend, who ended up being, no, it gets worse. So my boyfriend, who ended up being now my ex-husband, didn't drink, and he met us in Bristol at the drop-off point. And I still remember the moment where they opened the doors and I just fell out. It was only 30 minutes drive. So imagine someone drinking in 20 minutes a magnum bottle. I was tiny, right? I fell out this limo to what is now my ex-husband. And my brother just went, "Good luck with that one." I remember walking to the club, going to the bar, and it was one of these super clubs in Bristol. My brother had a VIP booth. And my brother said to my now ex-husband, good luck. You'll be lucky if you got her up those stairs. I think she's gone already. And I'm his little sister. There's 4.5 years difference between us. And by far, we started at the bar at the bottom. And when everybody started walking up the stairs, I couldn't get up the stairs. So we decided to take me home. This is where the next stage of embarrassment happened. So where
I like this story. It's layered.
Oh, it's layered. Oh, there's 3 layers to this, right? So this is layer 2. So
Only
we
layer
then
2. Go on.
Oh, layer 2. So he then walks me out of the club. No, this is like 7:30 p.m. He walks me out the club towards the car park where his car's parked and quite literally puts me in the car. Start driving through Bristol, and I don't know what was going on with me, but for some reason I shouted out in the middle of the car, "Oh my God, there's Michael Jackson," and threw up on myself in his car.
Oh, classy.
It's amazing.
And then after that, this is still layer 2. There's a 3rd layer. So after that, we then every single bus stop, and I don't know why it was a bus stop. Every single bus stop, I made him stop so I could throw up outside the door. So I would literally open the door, lean over, and throw up. As you do, we've all experienced it. There's nothing to be embarrassed. He then takes me home.
It's a strange bus service, isn't it?
Yeah, he literally. We left the club. We left the club at 7:30, right? Bristol was only about 45 minutes away from my hometown. We got to my mum and dad's house at 10, just after 10 o'clock. And the only reason I know that is my father was a taxi driver. He owned a taxi company. He'd already gone to work. And I remember him going to the door, knocking on the door saying, "Look, it is Sabrina's father. Has he gone to work?" She goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Right, she's a mess." Right? He picks me up, takes me in, and just puts me in the shower, fully clothed, and turns it on, right? And leaves me in the shower, right?
Oh,
this is where moment 3 happens, part 1. So my mother and my husband
there's layer
go to
3,
the car.
part 1. So there's another part to layer 3.
It gets worse. So 3.1 is
I can't wait to hear
3.2.
this.
So then my mother and my ex-husband go to the car. My mum's trying her best to clean everything up because it's his company car. He'll never hear about this. And so she tries her best to clean it up, and he then potters off home, and I'm just still there in the shower, sat on the floor in the shower with the water going over me with all my clothes still on, right? 3.2 happens the next day. He thinks that the car is being cleaned up. And he decides to take his mother food shopping the next day.
Oh, no.
They filled up. They'd missed it because it was dark outside. I filled up the door pocket with
Oh no.
Hilarious.
Sick flies all over her.
Oh my God.
I had to pay to have that car fully validated. She had my sick note. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. He went to take her shopping. It had been there all night. The car stank. She had my sick all over her, where she'd flung the door open and it just sprayed everywhere. And I was still in bed at this point, not knowing what's going on. So that's why it's part 1, 2, 3.1 and 3.2. That is by far.
That's brilliant.
I don't even know why I thought I saw Michael Jackson.
That's what got me.
I'm sure he
That's what got me.
I'm still marveling at the fact that he still married you. Did he feel he'd done the that he paid the highest price already or something?
It wasn't after that. He proposed to me. That's the odd thing. I mean, it didn't last that long, admittedly, but yeah, he proposed to me after that. So he wasn't too. But my poor mother, though, I remember her saying to me, I also had a vodka and Red Bull situation as well that I may tell you, I may not. That was a funny situation. But yeah, all I remember is leaning up against the shower, fully clothed. And it was just the way that when I went to throw up, I remember still having my hands open. So I wasn't going to catch it. That's why I did it.
Yeah. Do you know what the problem is? That most of the best and worst stories involving alcohol usually end in vomit, unfortunately. Do you know what I mean? The only thing I got close to that, which does involve vomit, you'll be pleased to know, was my friend, I won't say his name, but if he ever listens to this, he'll know who I'm talking about. This is probably when we were 17, 18 or something, and he messaged me on MSN, that dates it, saying, I've just broken up with, or my girlfriend just broke up with me, do you want to come around and just have a few beers or whatever? And I was like, yeah, no worries, man, I'll come around and we'll try and cheer you up or whatever. When I turned up, he was already drunk, I should say straight away. He was wearing one of his mother's dresses and had put lipstick on. And he opened the door with a bottle of vodka and was like, all right. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's one of those nights. So I just went in and commenced drinking with him just so he wasn't, doing it on his own. And yeah, anyway, got pretty drunk and his parents were out. And when they came back, probably like 1 a.m. or something like that, we'd gone into his room. I was like sleeping on the floor. And he was lying in bed just like, oh, man, I feel like I'm going to be sick. Like, I really feel like I'm going to throw up. And I was like, well, man, just go toilet. Just go be sick now. And he's like, no, my mum and dad, I could just heard them come in. I can't leave because they'll see me and know that I'm drunk. So what he did, he finished the pint of water that he brought to bed with him and used that as the, receptacle for his vomit. He threw up. I watched him do it. He started throwing up in the pint glass and it literally... I was watching it like this is gonna go everywhere, and he literally managed to stop it perfectly, right, just at the brim. And I was looking at him like, "You are so fucking lucky," That's literally, you could have just got that all over your bed. As I was saying it, he sneezed into the glass, and it went everywhere. Oh, and in the morning, he was obviously devastatingly hungover, and he had to go and play rugby in the morning. Right, this is the best bit of the story for me, anyway. His dad is taking him to rugby and he's going to drop me home or something. And he goes, come on, Mark. I just said his name. Not Mark. Forget his name, Mark. It wasn't Mark. John.
Mark.
No.
John. Mark.
So basically, his dad's waiting in the car for him. And he goes in the toilet. And as he comes out of the toilet, he goes to me, Chris, go and look in the sink. And I was like, okay, why? And he was like, I just went in, looked in. There was a piece of cucumber, just a little bit of like quite big, I suppose, but a little like triangle of cucumber. And I walked out and was like, why are you showing me that? And he went, that just came out of my nose. I was like, oh my God. And then he still went and played rugby, I think. I don't think he lasted very long. He got subbed after about 20 minutes, but yeah.
Can I just pause for a second?
One more.
Boom the recording, so recording's back on. So Sabrina,
Yes,
apparently you and Puke have another story.
Actually, I found I puked a lot when I was younger, and that's because I hadn't learned that there are particular alcohol out there that is expensive for a reason because it's more refined. So this was yet again, all this happened before I actually had a career, and I'm glad I actually learned before I had a career. I don't really drink when I'm out contracting with any company or any business people because I just make a fool of myself. So I remember I was in a pub yet again, and I was introduced to vodka Red Bull. And one of my friends, actually, was this new girl, really cool, hip girl, and I kind of almost wanted to be like her. And I said, oh, what are you drinking? She goes, vodka Red Bull. I went, oh, let me have a try. And I tried it. And I went, oh, that's really nice. And at the same time as me saying that, actually, I'm now thinking it was Matt again who did this to me. There's a theme here. So at the same time as me saying, oh, this is really nice, he said to me, what drink do you want next, Sabrina? And then he assumed I really enjoyed the vodka Red Bull. So he then bought me it in a jug. So he bought me this jug of vodka Red Bull. And I drank the jug because I didn't want to offend him or others around. So I had this jug.
Oh, you're so good to people.
Everybody. So I had this jug of vodka Red Bull, and then his mate Simon then drove me home. And even though my parents weren't against me drinking, I was very much the sweet little Sicilian girl that whenever she went out, she'd always behave herself. And my mum and dad, this was a Thursday night, my mum and dad are sat there watching TV, and I kind of snuck into the house, opened the door, went, I'm really tired, I'm going to go to bed. Somehow did that, well, in my head, thinking sober. And then crawled up the stairs to my bedroom. And then I remember texting my mum to say, I'm so sorry about your bin. please don't tell daddy. Basically, couldn't make it to the toilet, which I had an ensuite. That was how close the toilet was. Couldn't make it to the toilet. I not only filled one wastebasket bin, I filled 3. I literally went upstairs and puked in 3 wastebasket buckets, and then text my mother to apologize, knowing the fact she'd come upstairs and sort it out because I couldn't physically go. And I remember my mum coming upstairs and I'm crying very quietly, going, please don't tell daddy, because I still want to be a Sicilian sweet princess. Please don't tell daddy I'm drunk. Mum's like, no, I'll tell daddy that you've got a poorly tummy and I've put you to bed. And it's like, yeah, and still to this day. And I remember my poor mother, God bless her soul, the sweetest little thing ever, actually dealt with my sick from being drunk twice.
That's a mum's job. That is a mum's job, though. You know, it's part of the contract.
But the vodka, I still can smell of vodka Red Bull now. Just reminds me, because it came out of it projectile vomited so far out of my nose. It was ridiculous. It was just
out the nose.
It was coming out of 2 Orpheuses at the same time, so close together. And I was thinking,
do you know what?
Biologically.
It's a shame Becky's not on this one, actually, because she literally did that with apple vodka. So it was green. And she projectile vomited as we were walking down the road. And it was like The Exorcist. It was literally it went so far, and she's small. So I was impressed. It was like, I don't know where it came from. But yeah, puke.
I'm not sure that my puke story is as good as that, but about 3 years ago, and so I didn't really puke all that much as a kid. I puked once because my drink got doctored with like every spirit, and I was out with some mates, and we were all so drunk we actually slept in his garage, and I threw a rainbow over a wall with all the different colours of booze and puked on them all while they were asleep. But it's their own fault. It's
always someone else's fault.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, literally, I had a pint of rum and coke, and I drank like 3/4 of it, and when I came back it was full again. So I thought, I was about 16, so I necked the entire thing in one go,
of course.
But it was whiskey and all different kinds of other stuff in there as well. So I was very, very drunk very, very quickly.
It is interesting that there's a competitive element.
There is. So it's when you're a kid. I think
I don't know where that comes from, though.
I think it's bravado, isn't it?
Well, it is, but you learn quite quickly that your
don't do it.
level, obviously don't do it. Drink responsibly, everyone. But the whole point is that you learn throughout drinking, your limits, and you learn sort of that it's not actually a good thing to be able to drink loads. It's not a good thing. It's
a byproduct. It's a byproduct of the experience. But that night, actually, on my way to my mate's house, I tried to sit on a wall and missed and fell into a rose bush. And I woke up the next day with all of these rose bush thorns in my arms and my legs everywhere. There was rose bushes. And it's I told my mum it was a rash.
Well, there you go. It's your very own anti-drinking campaign.
Mums know what rashes look like. You can't get away from it. But you say that, though. I mean, you say that. But all my drinking a lot of my bad drinking experience happened when I was younger, which has almost put me off. I think my friends actually complain that drunk Sabrina doesn't come out enough. I used to think that I could be more drunk when I was at home because I had my own private bathroom. That was my bathroom that I could just be sick in, so I could drink as much as I want. But it's always stopped me from going to that next level. There's occasions, I'm not going to lie, I've been known to be dancing on the tables when I'm really on it and I'm really going for it, and I'm the one.
I'm looking forward to that episode.
But so Karl, 3 years ago, though, we've been talking about our childhood. You're talking about 3 years ago?
Yeah. So 3 years ago, I was working on a project between London and Edinburgh, and I had some colleagues visit. And I had a really bad cold or the flu. I didn't feel up for going out, but they had come up, and I kind of felt beholden to show them the town because it's my town and they were visiting. So I took them out. We went where they wanted to eat, which I thought was a particularly heinous place. It was one of those chicken places. It was cheap crap, whereas I like expensive crap.
KFC.
No, not KFC. It's they do the piri chicken thing. It's the
Nando's.
Nando's, yeah. The client that we
wow.
were working for gave us a discount. We got a staff discount for eating there, even
Okay.
as contractors. Anyway, so we went there, and then we went to a hotel bar, because I quite like hotel bars, because most people that are going to be arseholes tend to exclude themselves from it. So we had a few drinks in the hotel bar, and then we went to a club, and I kind of am, or at least my credit card.
This is on a night. Sorry, this is on a night when you didn't fancy it.
Yeah, I
You
know,
ended up in a club.
Yeah, I know, but I like clubbing. I'm sorry. Even now I like clubbing, and all the clubs are shut. It's
usually not when I've got the flu.
I know, but I thought I was doing better by the end of the evening. I was kind of wrong. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
like you said, you felt beholden. So
I kind of felt, responsible for the. I mean, it's an idiot move, but you live and learn. Anyway, so yeah, we went to this club. They kind of know me there, or at least they know my credit card quite well. And they gave me a banquette, which is like a curved tabled seat that we could all sit in it, and then we could have drinks. So I got a few drinks in, and then I carried on drinking. The guys went up to dance and go outside and smoke and all that sort of stuff. And then as the evening moved on, I just sat there and just puked across the whole of the seating area and myself. And it kind of started as a spray, and then it just became a torrent. And then I kind of got up, wiped it off, went to the toilet, washed a bit, and left, because clearly I'd had too much.
That's the end of the evening.
That's the end of the evening for me. The guys were just in shock with my state, because I hadn't had that much to drink. But as I said, I wasn't feeling well. Anyway, there's two parts to this story. So the next time they came up, we did more or less the same thing again. Went back, and they, because of the amount that I spend on entertainment, I'll put it that way, I had no problem getting in again. And this time, I was the last man standing. I drank them all under the table. They all thought I was a lightweight because I'd been so ill the previous time.
Okay.
But
you lulled them into a false sense of security.
I did. But by the end of the night, I was still there. They'd all gone. I was feeling a little bit unwell, so I went and stood near another table apart from the one I was at. And I thought, oh, it's coming. And I grabbed the nearest pint glass and I filled it. Then I filled another pint glass, and I filled a third pint glass with puke. And then I felt fine again, so I went back to my seat and carried on drinking for a bit, and then left. At which point, in the background, I could see this kerfuffle because the people who had been at that table came back.
Oh, to three filled
pints of puke.
Oh God!
You know what? We laugh about it, but actually, we've all, and I think you guys, I want you all to admit this. We've all been in that situation where when we felt a little bit queasy, we've gone for a bit of a puke. And it's actually elongated our night because we've had a bit of a puke.
Yeah.
And then
it's like a tactical, isn't it?
It's a tactical puke. Yeah.
We went all there we went there for mine and Jason's birthday once, and it was probably got to about 12:30, and we were in like the toilets of some club, and Jamie, my friend, was just started making himself sick, like putting his fingers down his throat in the sink. And I was like, what are you doing, man? Like, just drunk. He was like, oh, just get it out and then you can carry on drinking. I was like, he was like, yeah, it's tactical puke.
It's like that,
we all started doing that. And
the joint birthday that we had a couple of years ago, where I tried to go for that record for the number of drinks. It was
one time since I've known you where I was genuinely concerned, like, with what was going on, because he was like, he had the shirt on and they were basically doing a tally of how many cocktails he had drunk in the night. And it was getting silly. It was
only about 20.
This is...
But the problem was that I could feel the liquid in my throat. The whole of my body was full.
This is time to admit, did you have a tactical puke?
No, well, it wasn't a tactical puke. I had no space left. I had to go downstairs and literally I puked up more or less pure alcohol and cocktail. Literally, the whole of my stomach was full of alcohol, all the way up my esophagus. It was full of alcohol, and I had no choice but to puke it.
This is what I mean. There's a line that you need to not cross.
You can ask any woman, right? Any woman that can last drinking from like 8 o'clock in the evening till stupid o'clock in the morning. If they do not if they can't say with a straight face, we've all tactical puked. Just to make us keep up, A, with you men, because you can all handle a large amount of alcohol, a lot more alcohol than most of us. And B, we all tactical puke. We are taught this at a young age that when you get to a certain stage, if you want to carry on, you need to go puke. And that makes women's toilets not that glamorous in a club.
Oh dear. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like when you said about that feel, you know, that when you said about the feeling of like you feel queasy and you know you're going to be sick, but it's like there's that moment where you assess it. Your drunk brain is sort of assessing the situation, going, it is going to come out in the next sort of 2 minutes, give or take. I have to make the decision now where it's going to come out.
Yeah. So the usual one is depending upon where you are, you work out how much effort is involved in getting to the nearest toilet. And then you decide where you're going to puke. So the railway is so much effort to go upstairs to the toilet.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
It's not even that. Us women have had to learn. I've had to learn this, and I'm not just saying this is the Northeast, but I've had to learn this in the Northeast. That the first 2 bars or clubs you go to, if there's toilet paper, you make sure you put it in your bag. You literally either take
steal it,
or you take. It's not stealing; it's tactical, because you know when it comes to later on in the night, you won't find any toilet roll. So you literally.
You're so trusting that you would use toilet roll that you find in a pub.
Hey, when you're in that situation, literally, I always normally the first or second bar I go to, I grab as many sheets as possible, ram it in my bag, and all my girlfriends know.
That's the classic thing, you know, about how everyone went through COVID and like there was such a run on toilet paper. There is actually a 1-sheet method that manages to work for everyone.
Oh, paper cut, hello.
But you know, I mean, the whole point is that you know how this one works. I mean, we were all taught this at school. This is a survival guide. You know,
no, it's not.
Which is
I was not taught.
You know, you got your 1 sheet of paper, which
you've got a hole in it, yes.
Which you prepare to grab whatever.
No.
Oh, what really?
And then after you've got all of that away, then you got this little corner of paper to clean your nail with.
Oh.
I learned that in the air cadets.
I was a ballerina. I was a prima ballerina, so I was never.
Although
for a bit.
With your nails, I think you'd be hurting yourself.
Yeah, baby.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and everyone asked me the question: how on earth do you wipe with these nails? And there's tactics for it. You triple ply.
Well, we moved down scale really quickly there. Well done, and no one's blaming me clearly.
So hang on, just before we carry on, just so I'm clear, we've covered puke. We've now covered shit. So what's next?
I've had the most random people ask me this. I've been in a clothing shop, and someone said, "Oh, I absolutely love your nails, but how do you wipe your?" And I have to tell them the secret, just so they don't think that there's.
Well, tell us the secret now. We're all desperate to know.
You double ply. I basically go through a large amount of toilet paper.
But don't you get a lot of stuff stuck in the cracks?
You wear an oven glove. You wear an oven glove or one of those mittens that you get in Gladiators.
You use them to clean. So like you when you go under, you kind of use your nails to clean your nails, and then you use your nails to clean your nails. These are short for me. They are short. I've had to shorten them because.
So are you carrying biological weapons then with you when you go out? Just if anyone upsets you, just scratch them on the neck and they die from something horrible.
So only when they're stiletto. They're not stiletto, so they're kind of ballerina, kind of coffin at the moment. Stiletto are when they're extremely sharp, and I kind of do feel they're like my little tools, to the extent that, you know, if you're using, you know, when you've got to pick up hot food, I can pick up hot food because I've just used my nails to pick it up.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, it's great.
They're like
I could probably go
chopsticks.
to a deep. You can kind of pick up food with it, and so I have to keep them incredibly clean. They are handy for multiple things. I don't burn my fingers.
Okay, so
Anyway.
we've done nails, puking. Are we done with crap?
I think
we're
I
done
haven't
with-
got
let's
any
move
more.
on from
I've never
crap.
crapped. I've never crapped myself while drinking. That's like
That's a new level,
control.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
when
is
we
new
talk
level.
about
I
lines
don't know.
not to cross, yeah, if you start shitting
I think-
yourself, then you know you've gone too far.
I think that's another level to get to that stage where you have a catastrophic bowel evacuation.
Have you ever drunk so much you can't remember what happened?
No, unfortunately not. Yes,
I don't think so. I've had it where you're like, you know, it's hazy, but as the day goes on and the hangover progresses,
Honestly,
I can sort of piece together bits of the evening. But I don't think I've ever like.
It was a
completely
Halloween
blacked
that I
out,
don't
so.
remember much of, and I started over in Kensington with my nephew, taking him out to his favourite burger joint, and then I think he was about 12 or something. So I was drinking. I had a bottle of fizz, naturally, to myself to start the event. Then I came back to Bromley and went to the railway. At least that's where I was meant to be going, but I don't remember getting there. But what I do remember is waking up with my head on the camber of a road, really, really comfortable, like it was a pillow. And I don't remember about 12 hours.
Wow, that's scary to me. That's not even.
It only happened once.
Funny.
It only happened once in my life, but it was, you know, I was making sure from then on that I actually have like my GPS running on my phone, so I know where I am the next day.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
My husband's recorded a couple of videos of me, which have been quite funny videos. Because I have this now, so this is older version of Sabrina, and I have a shoe collection that I absolutely love and adore. And I have this really weird routine now where all my shoes are all wrapped up in their dust bags and their boxes, and are all kept immaculate and clean. And I have this routine that my husband knows about, where when I come in from going out on an evening absolutely drunk, I have to have some wet wipe to clean the soles of my shoes and clean my shoes to wrap them back in their box. And my husband does have a funny video that he regularly shows me that even I think is hilarious, where I'm rolling around on the floor with my shoes in my hands, declaring to him how much I love my shoes and how my shoes are like crap to me. Not that I've never done it, but if this was a drug, this was my drug. And I'm rolling around trying to baby wipe my shoes while saying that my particular brand of shoes is like crap to me. And there's other times where he's got videos of me rolling around on the sofa and then rolling off the sofa with my shoes, still keeping them in the air so they can't get damaged or anything like that, while cleaning and wiping them and delicately putting them back in their dust bags and back in the box. All very delicate, but the way I'm moving and walking isn't very delicate. And he has videos which he does occasionally remind me of, in a funny way, of things that I do when I'm drunk now as an adult.
Yeah, Carl loves to do it. Carl sent me videos of me.
I'm sorry, I'm not a great friend. So it's there's so many videos I've got of Chris that he's told me to delete that I've kept.
No, that night, the night of the one I'm talking about was the one where we were in O'Neill's.
Yeah.
And I got so drunk in there that you lot had to put me in a cab. Then you lot went to the Swan, and then I got in the cab, was managing to have a chat with the cab driver, and I said to him, mate, do I look like the kind of person that's had enough to drink? And he, of course, said, absolutely not. Let's take you back. And I was like, cheers. So he turned around and brought me all the way back to the Swan, and then I walked back in. And they were
You were
like,
just out of your brain. I mean, we were genuinely concerned about you.
Yeah.
That's the only reason we put you in a cab. So
Well, I came back like a boomerang, baby.
yeah.
Oh, that's a legendary
You weren't that compass
moment.
mentis, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been
Carl,
going for like.
what's that you drinking there, Carl? What's that you drinking there?
Still Foster's.
Oh,
I poured myself
How
some
many?
Malibu and Coke. So how many have I had?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just my second one. Sorry. And, I seem to
Well,
be
this
going...
is my second whiskey as well. Actually, I did take the opportunity
I'm on
when.
my third. Hang on a
Or
minute.
another.
You guys need to. I'm on my third glass already. I'm just.
Would you like to play
check now.
cards?
Yeah.
Not against you, I do.
I'm no
I
good.
thought
It's
the
Chris. It's
podcast
Chris
will
that's the
descend
shark.
quite quickly. Oh, apparently so.
He read a book one day and then beat everyone at it that'd been playing it for years.
Chris, you want to go to Vegas?
Yes, I still want to go to Vegas.
Vegas.
He's been
Oh,
wanting to go
Vegas.
to Grand Canyon for as long as I've known him.
I do really want to go to the Grand Canyon. But to be fair, I was meant to be doing that this year, or sorry, last year now. That was my plan. I was saving up to do that. And then obviously COVID happened. So no Grand Canyon for me.
I did a stupid thing in Vegas, but I wasn't actually drunk. I was actually sober when I did it. So I actually do more stupid things when I'm sober than I'm drunk. And I went to Vegas. I did two stupid things in Vegas, actually. So the first one was basically we were going to the AWS event. My husband was presenting there, and he went on
And
the
for
Saturday.
the English speakers in the room, Amazon Web Services.
Amazon Web Services, yeah. So the big Amazon event that happens, the reInvent it's called, I think it is. Anyway, so my husband went down there on a Saturday, and I kind of cleaned everything up at home with the business and everything, and I turned up on the Wednesday, and I had the most amazing flight because I was lucky enough to be on business class and to be the only person on business class. Basically,
Wow.
the air hostess gentleman didn't know what to do with himself because he was kind of like, I've only got you in business class. It's just it. There's no one else. To the extent that I played queuing for the toilet, we played hide and seek. He showed me where everybody sleeps when it goes off, and he even played a couple of games in another seat, and he made me up a full entire row of beds so I could decide where I wanted to sleep. But that
awesome.
wasn't where the silly things. The first stupid thing I did in Vegas sober was when I turned up at the hotel. My husband had been explaining to me over the couple of days that I was still in England about how there was blatantly a lot of ladies in the night, and the hotel we were staying at was called the Aria, and you had to get past a security team to be able to get to the elevators to then get to your room. And we'd been joking over the past couple of days of the scenes that he'd blatantly seen over the days of him actually staying there. So what did I do? When I turned up, I basically had a driver that took me from the airport to the hotel. He picked me up at the front desk at the hotel and walked me through. And I saw these security guards, and I didn't want them to assume, because they'd seen my husband walking up and down for 3 days on his own, that I may have been somebody who was a lady of the night.
Well,
So
I don't think you're purchased by the hour. I think you're purchased by the lifetime.
Yes, well, he decided he bought. But yeah, so what I stupidly did, which I embarrassed him for, was when it came up to security guard for us to be able to get to the elevators, my husband then said, look, hey mate, you know me, I'm in this room. And I turned around and said, I'm his wife. I've just come off of a flight. He purchased it. He bought it. I'm his wife. I'm not one of those or what you normally see. I'm his. You only see me. You should have seen someone else. And I just literally just kept going on and on and on and on and completely embarrassed myself. Said he dragged me into the elevator. But the next stupid thing I did was I didn't realize in Vegas, when you go gambling, things are free if you go into a casino. So I dragged my husband to a casino because he is a genius. He is an absolute genius, that man. He can't use a spoon, but he's an absolute genius. So I assumed him being a genius, he'd be able to work out these slot machines and make some money. After $40 being down, I realized, being a genius doesn't work with these slot machines. But this lady came up to me and she goes, would you like a drink and a cigarette? And this was back in the days that I smoked. And I said, no, I'm fine, thank you. And she said to my husband, he goes, no, we're good. And then another woman came over and we're there on the slot machines trying to work these out. And she goes, would you like a drink or a cigarette? I was like, nah, no, I don't want to drink. In my head, I'm thinking alcohol in America is expensive. I'm not paying for it. But I'm getting funny looks everywhere because I'm refusing a drink and I'm basically refusing what I now know of freebies.
Yeah.
So I'm quite literally, everyone's staring at us thinking, they don't know the deal here, do they? We're offering them free cigarettes, packets of cigarettes, alcohol as much as they want, and they're refusing it. And I felt like such an idiot.
Well, that would have been an early night for me, I'll tell you that. Like, anytime there's a free bar, it does become a little bit of a competition. Carl? Sounds quiet all of a sudden. I don't know.
I was going to say, what's going on?
I once went on a management training course when I must have been 19, 20, for a global consultancy that I was working for. And it was up by Kilda Water, which is near Durham. And it was a free bar.
Yeah.
Now, all of my colleagues, free bar, help yourself, drink whatever you want. Me, I'd had a beer or so, and then I stopped. And then I went to bed with a change of clothes underneath my pajamas because I'm a suspicious person. And sure enough, we were woken up at 5 a.m. to start the first exercise of the day.
I see.
So they were planning on people's avarice to drive them to get so drunk that they wouldn't be able to cope. It was a management training system thing we were at. So they wanted to see what kind of character you were. I wasn't necessarily better than other people, but my attitude to it was, why are we getting free booze from a company that has such a problem about expenses? So my mental model around it is, there's a different reason for this than people think, and I was right. We had like 12 hours of running around and building stuff, and oh man, there were people who looked like they were in pain. Conversely, a few years later, when I did my Robert Gordon's training course, so I actually trained and passed the certification to work offshore. I went out and got absolutely smashed because I was fully funded for the course and for my staying and for everything I wanted. And then I went in and we were doing the survival from leaving an oil rig, which basically means that you do a 14-meter jump in a survival suit into a wave pool that's 20 meters deep during a force 8 gale, and you're supposed to get into a survival boat that's just been dropped off as a pod. You have to open it up and get it all going. It was not my favorite day.
Wow.
But they had told us something really, really useful, which I did employ, which was that if you're feeling really seasick there and you're in your survival suit, make sure you puke inside the suit, because the puke will keep you warm.
Oh, excellent.
Whoa.
Well, in the North Sea, it's
another level.
Well, in the North Sea, it's so cold that you can die just from the cold wind without even getting wet. So if you're feeling really unwell from the experience of the water, if you puke, there's quite a large amount of heat in puke. So
I imagine there is.
So I've just realized I never ever want a career that is going to take me offshore. So that's fine. Thank you very much for confirming that, Carl. I'm going to have to go in a minute because I need feeding. I've got to feed my family.
How long have we
So
got
I'm going to stop the recording now because I think we've got quite a good show there. Obviously I have to
say
edit.
Goodbye then. You have to say goodbye this time, Carl, remember?
Say goodbye.
Oh,
Don't leave the show though. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.